So this is it. This is Rennsport. I've finally been granted beta access to this new PC sim racing title, and I wanted to give you just a quick first impressions. What do I think, just jumping in, and what my initial impressions are and what my hopes are as this title moves through its development cycle. So just another reminder, this is a beta version of this title, so you know, this could be quite removed from what the final retail version will be like. We have no AI. We only have a selection of GT3 cars, along with a Porsche Cup car and a Praga. To be honest with you, didn't really like the Porsche Cup car as much as I was hoping to. So I've decided to stick with the GT3 cars. They seem to be a little bit more refined, a little bit more developed and honed. So what do we get? We get the AMG Mercedes, we get the Porsche, BMW M4, and the Audi. Nothing that we haven't seen in titles like ACC or iRacing. Even the Praga has already been in Race Room for a while. So as of yet, they haven't brought anything new to the table, but that's okay. You've got to start somewhere. And they've said in various interviews, various blogs and press releases that this isn't going to be a GT3 sim. What grabbed my attention and why I applied for an early access beta key was the fact that they mentioned touring cars, and specifically a TCR license. What that means, well, I don't know, but as anybody who's followed me on my channel for a while now knows that I am tin top mad. I love front wheel drive tin tops. So I always want to check any title out that's going to represent touring cars in any way, shape or form. But that's down the line. For now, we've just got some GT3 cars, and we've got the usual circuits: Monza, Spa, Hockenheim, and Nürburgring, I think. Now, I haven't been online with it yet because I'm still finding my feet with the sim in general. Just trying to get up to speed. It's definitely got its peculiarities, its little quirks that I need to learn. Now, I'm not saying that they're bad, but they're different. You know, we all get our sims that we like. We know, you know, things like me specifically, iRacing. I know it inside out, and I know that can be a confusing mess to newcomers. So I'm still learning how the menu system works. It's a little odd in places, but you know, I don't think the full UI has been implemented yet. So it's functional. You can get what you need to do done. Same goes with the game engine. I don't think it's particularly well optimized yet. It's quite feature-rich content-wise, you know, with the grass and the trees, and you know, you got the flashing boards and the advertising hoarded. Everything that needs to be there is there. The trackside detail, but it just, I don't know. There's this is on, you know, like a ultra preset. I got a 3080 Ti, but it just lacks that final level of sharpness, that final level of detail. It's just a little bit of, I don't know, there's just other more established, admittedly more heavily developed and longer into their life cycle titles have just got that sharpness, that snap, that sparkle, that although the detail's there, it's just the image looks somewhat flat. But I think that may well come as they optimise the game engine going forward. I think they've been a little bit conservative to help with frame rates, which is, you know, important when you're esports. Frame rate is king. It's good, but not great. So, handling, force feedback, physics. Now remember, this is a early release version, a beta version of the game, so it's still in its development cycle and it's heavily in development. But they have been using it for a big ESL R1 esports competition, so you'd think that they've got the handling to a certain point, you know, and feel confident enough that it's good enough, robust enough to organise a competition and series around. Now, I have a Asetek ecosystem set up, so I've got, you know, load cell pedals and the direct drive wheelbase, and as of yet there is no Asetek presets. There's no native support for the wheel. I believe, not officially, but through the Asetek Discord and Facebook groups, that there are, at the very least, discussions in play about working together and getting proper support. So, you know, all my equipment is fully recognised, it's all supported, and it all does what it should do. Quite what having a preset or native support will do, I don't know. But I did have to make some changes with the dampening, especially. I found out the box that it had this really, I don't know, sort of, this sort of vibration, gritty feel to it, which just didn't feel right. It's different to other sims. It's not as clean or as smooth. You know, I think there's a level of detail that the more developed, more mature sim racing titles have got with the force feedback, and this is still in its early stages. Now, that lack of clarity, that lack of detail could be the fact that, you know, there is no native support for Asetek, so we're probably using some generic drivers and force feedback, and with a you know, more in-depth look at the sliders and the adjustments that I can make within the menus and options. I may be able to drive a lot of that out, but initially, out the box, it's not a very communicative force feedback system. I've done a little bit of tweaking and I've got rid of this sort of odd underlying vibration feeling, which has cleared the path and has allowed more of the other force feedback information to come through. So I have gained back a chunk of detail that wasn't there initially. So and what we'll do is we'll just end up with the actual feeling, and it's these cars don't feel as planted as GT3 cars in iRacing or ACC. You can't feel the weight transference. I think that's the biggest thing. Is they just, you know, GT3 cars, I know that they're stripped out and they're, you know, as lightweight as they can be, but dimensionally they are big, fat, squat cars. So they do, you know, there is a certain degree of weight transference that you like to better feel when you brake and turn. You know, you feel the car rotate. And there's some of that I feel not floaty, but not quite as connected to that road surface as you would like. The first few laps you'll struggle. You will struggle with the cars in Rennsport in the first few laps. Then as you get used to the force feedback, you get used to the physics, it comes to you. You understand it. But again, I've never driven a real life GT3 car, and I've put in it, you know, too much time into titles like iRacing. So I think you learn to drive round or drive, you know, within the parameters and limits of that physics model. And then when you come to another sim racing title and you come to another developer's idea of, you know, how to interpret real world car handling and physics, you know, some of that I don't think this feels right. Could just be that, you know, it's just a different implementation, a different philosophy behind how they set the cars up. But it just feels significantly different to both iRacing and ACC. That it takes a period of adjustment, a period of just readjusting your driving feel. Because initially you will be oversteering everywhere. They're very oversteery. Now that could be real life. That could be a more accurate representation. I don't know. Never driven a GT3 car. Never likely to. So you jump in and you're like, whoa, it's all leery and it just doesn't feel right. But once you just get a handle on that and work out what the curbs do, how to pitch the car in, how to rotate it, you can start to, you know, get the car to feel more as you'd expect. And instead of getting oversteer, you can start to induce a bit of understeer. And the lap times will drop, the consistency will improve. As with anything, I think you need to put the the time in and get used to how this physics and force feedback model works. But again, you know, this game is effectively very early into its development cycle, so, you know, all this slot could be subject to, you know, review as we go forward. Oh. It's one of those titles that actually, the more you use it, the more you race with it, the more you enjoy it. So I'm not. Initially, I was really underwhelmed. I was like, nah, this isn't for me. Shame. I'll put it to one side and let's see what happens a little bit further down its development cycle. Let's see what the, you know, new content brings, and let's get ready for when the touring cars arrive. But there's something about that little, I might just try a different car. I might just try a different circuit. Let's just give it a few more laps. And before you know it, you start to warm to it. You think, yeah, I see now. I see how that works. Oh, I see how I should be setting that up. Oh, I see how I should be driving that. And that you get settled in, and I am starting to enjoy this title more and more. But maybe until we get a bit of AI, or, you know, or once I get confident enough that I can start looking at the online side. I don't know how it all works, whether we can jump in and race other races, or it's just competitions or leaderboards. I don't know, but I think the next big step they need to take forward as they get ready for a public release is AI. Give us something to race against. Let's see what it's like, you know, for the crash damage, the, you know, damage models, should I say, sorry. What is it like when you know, rub alongside another vehicle, get nudged or nudge into another vehicle? Because at the moment it's a bit like Race Room when it first came out. It's just a leaderboard, hot lapping sim, and it's interesting and as fun as that is to check out, you know, something new. As it stands, as a, you know, a non-esports sim racer, it's not quite enough to drag you back in and make you want to race this over any other sim racing title on the PC at the moment. So that's my initial thoughts. That's my initial impressions of Rennsport, which is beta, you know, development. So this, we've only got, you know, a handful of cars, a handful of tracks, no AI, and again, no native Asetek wheel support for me. What difference that will make, I don't know, but I'd like to know, has anybody else got a beta key? Anybody else tried it? What was their initial impressions? Have you signed up to get a key? Or is this just, nah, not for me. I'm happy with XYZ sim. I'll wait until the public release. I don't, let me know your thoughts either way. Are you interested? Are you not interested? For me, I've been interested from the word go. I love checking out new sim racing titles, content, equipment. But that's just me. And I'm warming to it. It's growing on me, but I've already reached the limit of what's available in this beta build. I could do with something else, you know, a car that we haven't seen, or a car class that we haven't seen in another sim. Or, biggest thing, give us some AI. Give us something to race against. And let's see how this physics model, this engine, game engine, really does. In the meantime, thank you very much. This is a really long, rambly old video. I've whittled on far too long. So I'm going to call it a day. Thank you very much for watching. And look out for some more Rennsport content coming as the game gets updated or new content arrives. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Happy sim racing. Bye bye.